this recording. I was so far into the what if, but my phone cut off and it messed up the recording. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to restart. So, after we left off with Naruto winning his match against Kiba. And Naruto then gets a month break. And on the first day of his break, he hears a voice in his head. And it tells him, remember that power you felt on the bridge? Naruto wanting to respond to this voice in his head, but then he thought he was just making up things. Then he has a flashback of the power he felt. He then takes a nap and wakes up in a dark room with water on the ground. He walks for a little bit and ends up into this giant room with a big red cage. And in the cage, there's a nine-tailed fox, which we know as Kurama. Naruto then asks the fox, Kurama, what's his name? Kurama says it's not important. Well, Naruto says, what are you doing in here? Kurama replies with, your parents sealed me in here. Naruto then asks if he's strong. And Kurama responds with a, yes, I'm quite strong, actually. And so Naruto, after having a conversation with Kurama for a bit, he asks if he could train him. Naruto would beg and beg, and Kurama would repeatedly say no until he finally caved in and said yes. But under one condition, Naruto would have to change his look. So this is how Naruto looks, but he has red eyes instead of blue eyes, and I'll explain that later. So Naruto said it's a deal. And after Naruto is done training, he has learned he has better taijutsu. He developed a fighting stance where he gets on all fours and holds his back high up in the air to increase his speed and agility. He also learned a couple of jutsu, like the Biji Rasengan. It's basically a small Biji bomb, but in the form of a Rasengan. Naruto also learned other jutsu, which you're going to find out later. And Naruto also developed how long he can use his dojutsu and his chakra reserves. Naruto can also use a one-tailed cloak without going insane or losing his train of thought. So, the day of the Chunin exams, Naruto sits anxiously waiting for his fight with Neji. Shikamaru beats Temari like in the original. I'm just going to say Shikamaru beats Temari. And so, Naruto versus Neji goes like this. Neji starts talking about how it's Naruto's destiny to lose. And then Naruto says, I'm going to use my own power to beat you. And I'm going to beat you much worse than you did Hinata. Naruto then turns his eyes from red to blue. And the reason why his eyes are red is because the way he trains his chakra. So, like I was saying, Naruto tells Neji that he's going to beat him with his own power. Then his eyes turn back to blue. And if I didn't finish saying what I was saying, Naruto trains the way he can control his Kyuubi chakra by staying in the Kyuubi influence for as long as he can without deactivating it. And he's been maintaining this form since the beginning of his training. So, Naruto then gets on all fours and waits for the proctor to start the match. As soon as the proctor starts the match, Naruto disappears into thin air, reappearing right in front of Neji. And he punches him in the mouth. Neji flies back, but then regains his footing. Naruto is already gone once again. Naruto appears right next to Neji, but Neji activated his Byakugan when he realized Naruto wasn't there anymore, and he just barely blocked the attack, but it still sent him flying back. Neji once again regains his footing and sees Naruto disappear. And as soon as he sees this, he does a rotation blocking Naruto's attack. And as he blocks Naruto's attack, he grabs one of his hands and prepares to punch him in his gut several times. Naruto then smirks at Neji and puts one hand up and starts to sign. Then he yells, "Fire style, majestic destroyer flames!" This flame then hits Neji, knocking him far back. Neji weakly stands up and then starts to charge Naruto once more. Naruto spawns 2 shadow clones, and both these shadow clones punch Neji in the gut before being dispersed by Neji punching them both in the forehead. Naruto would then get back on all fours and disappear once again. Neji would try to block Naruto's attack, but Naruto appeared in front of him, but then appeared behind him and kicked him in the back. Neji would put one of his hands on the ground and do a handspring back onto his feet. But Naruto would already be gone once again. Naruto would be circling around Neji, and Neji can't get a clear look at his location. Naruto then starts signing and creates 2 shadow clones. Then he signs once more and does a fireball jutsu. 2 of the fireballs are dispersed because they hit each other, while the other fireball actually hits Neji right when he jumps, knocking Neji out of Naruto's circle, I guess. Naruto then stops circling, and right before Neji can even try to get up, Naruto is above him already. Naruto then starts punching Neji repeatedly over and over again until the point where Neji starts to bleed a bit. He then prepares a Bijou Flames attack. So what this is, it's like a Bijou bomb but purely made of fire. And so yeah, it's not as strong as the Bijou bomb, but it's really strong. So he prepares to throw it at Neji, but then 5 Jonin that can use water style and Kakashi all use a water dragon jutsu to disperse Naruto's flame attack. They then hold Naruto down and restrain him. They tell him if he tries another attack like that, he will be disqualified. Naruto then nods and brushes off the dirt and dust from when the Jonin restrained him. He then stares straight into Neji's eyes, and the proctor starts the match once again. Naruto disappears into thin air, punches Neji in the gut. Then he makes 2 shadow clones. Both these shadow clones punch Neji in the gut also, and then they kick him in the gut. Neji still in midair. Naruto throws both of his shadow clones up at Neji, and they would both punch him in the face, grab his legs, and slam him onto the ground. Naruto would then jump above Neji and punch him in the face, knocking him out. Naruto wanted to punch him a lot more, but the match had already ended. So he walked back over to his seat. And now it's Sasuke versus Gaara's fight. And their fight goes the same, it's just that Sasuke completely washes Gaara. Because Sasuke actually was training a lot harder so he could catch up to Naruto, saying that Naruto was leagues above him. And so after this happened, Gaara turned into the Shukaku thing, and Sasuke chases him out to where they were fighting. And since Sasuke doesn't have a curse mark, it didn't interfere with his fight, and Sasuke was able to push Gaara into his full Shukaku mood, but was then taken out by one attack. Sasuke is half passed out on a tree branch when Naruto finally arrives. Naruto looks at Shukaku and prepares to fight. And seeing that Naruto doesn't have the summoning jutsu, Naruto will have to fight him with his bare hands. Naruto gets on all fours and disappears, and he is in midair when Shukaku swings his arms at Naruto, and as soon as his arm connects with Naruto, Naruto then disappears. Naruto uses chakra to stick onto Shukaku's arm, and he ran up his arm. Naruto would then punch Shukaku's neck, and the sand would disperse, but then regenerate and close in on Naruto's arms, crushing it. Not completely though, it's like in the process of crushing it. Naruto would then start signing, and he would say lightning style, lightning blade, and he would slice Shukaku's neck, pulling his arm out. Now you're probably wondering, when did Naruto learn this jutsu? Well, he learned it in part 3. I just didn't want him to use it until part 4. So, don't be confused. Naruto would then jump on Shukaku's back and activate his dojutsu. Naruto would once again use Lightning Blade and start slicing at Shukaku. Shukaku would regenerate though, but every time he would lose some chakra and he would get smaller. When Naruto was finally done slicing at Shukaku, after chipping at Shukaku is about the size of the trees. Naruto is then hit by both of Shukaku's arms, and Shukaku drives his arms to the ground. And before Naruto hits the ground, he lands on his feet, does a backflip into a handspring onto a tree branch. Naruto, sitting on the tree branch, then jumps high into the sky and does a Bijou flame, a fire-style Bijou flames. He then throws it down on Shukaku, and it hits Shukaku like in the middle of his back, and almost all the sand there just disintegrates, but he then regenerates it. Naruto lands back on that same tree branch, and he prepares a Bijou Rasengan. And Naruto thinks to himself, if this doesn't work, I'm as good as dead. So Naruto then disappears into thin air and slams the Bijou Rasengan into Shukaku's head. This literally obliterates Shukaku and sends Gaara flying straight into the ground. Naruto would then fall right next to Gaara, and he would tell him about how stupid he was to try to attack the leaf, especially being so weak. But Naruto then gives him that pep talk he did in the original. A weakened Sasuke and Asakura just jumped down to Naruto, picked him up, and sent him to the medics. And Gaara was picked up by Temari and Kankuro. So, time skip a couple days after this. Everyone is pretty much healed up, other than Rock Lee, because Rock Lee was still hurt from the tuning exams. And so Naruto was then greeted by Jiraiya, since Hiruzen is dead. And Jiraiya tells him about how he's his godfather, and he needs his help on a mission. And Naruto is about to decline, thinking that Jiraiya is just some crazy old man. But Kurama then assures him that everything Jiraiya is saying is the truth. So Naruto then accepts. They leave the day after. Naruto would say goodbye to all his friends before leaving. And time skip a couple of days to where Naruto is in the hotel. Naruto would hear knocks at the door, and he would open the door, and he'd see Itachi and Kisame. And he doesn't know about the Akatsuki group, but he knows, if you're wearing matching clothing, you're probably a part of some evil organization. So Naruto invites them in, and then he sprints out the door, running on all fours. Itachi is close behind him. Naruto tries running faster, but Itachi won't let up. Naruto will start to realize that he's basically getting nowhere, but he's been running at his top speed for a while. He realizes he's in a genjutsu, and he would learn about these from Kurama, seeing that as Kurama doesn't like Uchihas and he hates genjutsus. So Naruto will put his hands together and yell, "Release." And as he does this, he sees Kisame getting ready to punch Naruto. Naruto would then dodge out of the way, and then Kisame would turn around and swing his Samehada at Naruto, and Naruto would disappear into thin air, running out the door. And Itachi follows behind. Naruto is being chased by Itachi and Kisame, and they are both behind him, but Itachi is catching up. Naruto then tries running faster, so Itachi does the same. Naruto then sees Jiraiya far up ahead, and Naruto starts running faster than he ever has before, and disappears from Itachi's sight. Itachi then starts to run faster too. Kisame is literally left in the dust. Naruto would turn around, activating his dojutsu, and he would do a fire style, Majestic Destroyer Flames. Itachi would do the same, and both attacks are dispersed. Itachi would be impressed a bit, even though he wasn't trying. Naruto would then jump in the air, landing right behind Jiraiya. Then Jiraiya would look over and see Itachi and Kisame. Naruto and Jiraiya fought off Itachi and Kisame. While Itachi could have easily won, he didn't want to cause too much attention, so he and Kisame retreated. Naruto would thank Jiraiya for basically saving his life. Jiraiya told him not to mention it. It's what a godfather is supposed to do. Naruto's stomach would then growl, and Naruto would tell Jiraiya that he's pretty hungry. So Jiraiya would take him to a ramen shop. This ramen shop also happens to sell booze, so you know who's going to be here. Tsunade is then sitting not too far from Naruto and Jiraiya. Jiraiya then whispers to Naruto, pointing at Tsunade, saying, "That's her." Naruto would get up and go to Tsunade. He would then say, "Hey lady," before being cut off by Tsunade's smack. Tsunade would tell him that he was being very disrespectful, calling her by lady. Naruto would then get angry and prepare to punch Tsunade, but Jiraiya would catch his arm and tell him that she does this when she's drunk. So Naruto would then calm down, seeing as she's intoxicated, so he would think less about it. They would then sit there, and Jiraiya would start talking to Tsunade, flirting and tell her about the problem at hand. Naruto then starts to pet Shizune's pig, and Shizune would ask Naruto if he likes the pig. Naruto would reply with a yes, and Shizune would then put the pig in Naruto's lap while Naruto still pets it. Shizune and Naruto would have a small conversation before Naruto overhears Tsunade call the Hokage's job a fool's job, and Naruto would then be angered by this. Naruto and Tsunade would start to argue, and then they would go outside to fight. Naruto says if he wins this fight, Tsunade would have to become Hokage, and Tsunade replies with, "I'll even give you this necklace if you win." So Naruto's like, "For sure, alright." So they're about to fight. Naruto then gets on all fours and disappears. He then reappears in front of Tsunade and punches her. Tsunade flies back a bit before catching herself, planting her feet in the ground, cracking it under her, and dashing at Naruto. Naruto would then be met with one of Tsunade's powerful blows, knocking him into the ground. And before Tsunade could kick him, Naruto would grab her feet and pull her down to the ground. He would then do a 180 back handspring off the ground and onto the roof. Tsunade would then jump onto the roof, joining him, and then they would trade blows and block each other's attacks for quite some time. Naruto would then be knocked off the roof by one of Tsunade's punches. Tsunade would try to punch him while he's on the ground, but he'd gain a one-tail cloak and pull both of it used both of his chakra arms to pull himself out of there. He then returns back to normal. He dashes at Tsunade, punches her. She then flies into the shop, breaking 2 tables. She would then run out of the shop, punching Naruto back into a lamppost. Naruto would hit this lamppost, and he would then start climbing up the lamppost. Tsunade would then try to jump up to the lamppost and punch him, but Naruto swiftly dodged this attack and grabbed Tsunade by her waist and slammed her into the ground. Tsunade would then roll away from Naruto and punch the ground, breaking it from under Naruto. Naruto would jump midair, and Tsunade would then meet him in the air, punching him in the stomach. Naruto would land on both his feet, and before Tsunade could even get out from, touch the ground, he would then disappear in front of her, make 2 shadow cones that punch her stomach. Then they would kick her stomach, and then they would grab her by her legs and throw her up in the air for Naruto to then punch her down into the ground. Naruto would win this fight, but only because Tsunade was drunk. If Tsunade was drunk, Naruto would barely have stood a chance. So Naruto then takes the necklace and walks off with Jiraiya. The next day, somehow, because Tsunade only met with Orochimaru because she was still considering his offer or something, because Naruto didn't win the fight, but since this time he did, I don't know how to actually implement this in there, so I'm just going to say it happens just because. And then the fight, Orochimaru and Jiraiya fight still goes the same. Tsunade and Kabuto's fight goes the same, where Kabuto then splashes blood on Tsunade. And when he's about to deliver the killing blow, Naruto disappears into thin air and redirects Kabuto's blow, and then punching him in the stomach. Naruto would then repeatedly punch Kabuto over and over again before punching him in the face, making him fly into the air. Naruto then would yell, "Fire style! Phoenix Flower Jutsu!" And these 3 fireballs would then collide into Kabuto's back, making him hit a tree. Kabuto is on the brink of death when Naruto prepares to stab him with a kunai. But then he is then stopped by Jiraiya. Jiraiya not wanting Naruto to be in the habit of killing people. So Naruto does not kill Kabuto. Instead, he tries to go help Jiraiya, but is then stopped by the summoning jutsu. The summoning jutsu that Jiraiya and Orochimaru are on. The snake would headbutt Naruto, and Naruto would fly down to the ground, hitting the ground pretty hard and creating a crater. Naruto would then get up and brush off his clothes. He would jump once again at the snake, and the snake would put his head up, getting ready to slam his head down on Naruto. Naruto would then gain a one-tail cloak and slice through the snake, making both Orochimaru and Jiraiya fall. Naruto would stretch his arm out to catch Jiraiya and places him on the ground. Naruto would then land right next to Jiraiya. Orochimaru would get up and brush his clothes off, and he would start commencing a fight with both Jiraiya and Naruto. Their fight would be similar to the Momoshiki versus Naruto and Sasuke fight, if you've seen it, where they're just using mostly taijutsu. Then Orochimaru would kick Naruto back, and he would hit a tree. And then him and Jiraiya would exchange blows. Orochimaru thinks this is the perfect chance to give Naruto the curse mark while he's passed out. Well, not passed out, he's just he has his eyes closed and he's just sitting there trying to regain his thoughts and his breath. as soon as Orochimaru is within 10 meters of Naruto, Naruto opens his eyes and then sprouts a two-tailed cloak in rage. Naruto would then appear right in front of Orochimaru, slicing, like swiping at his head and sending Orochimaru flying towards where Jiraiya is. Naruto would then try to land another blow on Orochimaru, but Orochimaru would just barely dodge this attack. Then Jiraiya would start fighting Orochimaru once more, with Naruto helping. And they're overpowering Orochimaru, so Orochimaru retreats. And Naruto in his two-tailed cloak is as strong as original Naruto Shippuden, not the Shippuden Naruto in his three-tailed cloak. So that's how strong Naruto is now. Oh, sorry. So Naruto will then help Shizune carry Tsunade to a medical ninja, and Tsunade will be healed up, seeing that she doesn't have any major damages. So Orochimaru, when he retreated, he actually went to the Leaf Village, and I'll explain that later. Naruto and the rest will then return to the Leaf Village. And the reason why Orochimaru went to the Leaf Village is to give Sasuke the curse mark, seeing as it is basically impossible for him to get Naruto at the moment, since Naruto is crowded by Jiraiya, Tsunade, and he himself is quite strong. Naruto would then go into training for 5 days. He would train with Kurama and with Jiraiya. Naruto learns the Rasengan from Jiraiya, and he just improves on his abilities with Kurama. Oh, and he learns the summoning jutsu, but he doesn't summon frogs. He has his own summoning. He summons. What does he summon? Yo, shall I make him summon dragons? Yeah, I'll make him summon dragons just because plot and because I want to. So, Naruto has dragon summoning, I guess. And this is the time where Sasuke, leaves the village. Naruto is then informed of this, and the little group is formed with Choji, Shikamaru, Neji, and Naruto, and Rock Lee. I'm going to say Rock Lee was there off rip. Wait, no, he wasn't, though, so no. So, basically, everything pretty much goes the same, where Choji fights the one guy. I don't remember who he fought. Oh, and Kiba's there, because, Kiba fought someone, too. Choji fights who he fights. Kiba fights who he fought. Neji fights that one girl. And Naruto. Oh, was Shikamaru there? I can't even remember anymore. But Naruto would then fight Kimimaro. They would be pretty evenly matched out, Naruto being in his base and not trying as hard, wanting to save energy. Naruto would then be ready to use his dojutsu, but Rock Lee would stop him, telling him he doesn't want him to waste any chakra. Naruto would then thank Rock Lee and move on, and Rock Lee and Kimimara's fight would go the same, with Guard jumping in to help. So Naruto meets up with Sasuke. They start talking how they did in the original, and then they fight. But instead of Sasuke being on top for most of the fight, Naruto is actually being on top for most of the fight. And so Sasuke is then pushed into his curse mark, his final curse mark form with his 3 Tomoe Sharingan. And Naruto is literally only using his Dragon Dojutsu. Naruto then would deactivate his dojutsu and go into the Kyuubi influence mode. He would then prepare a Rasengan and Sasuke Ichidori. They would collide, and Naruto's Rasengan would easily overpower. Wait, no, same thing would happen in the original. Both of them passed out. But it's just that Sasuke ends up waking up sooner and he leaves. Naruto then wakes up in Kakashi's arms and he asks Kakashi what happens. Kakashi says he's just as confused as he is. And Naruto thinks to himself, Sasuke. Naruto then vows to himself, of course, that he will retrieve Sasuke and make him come back to the Leaf Village. That's where I'm gonna end things off. Hope you guys have a great night and peace. Wait, don't forget to like and subscribe either. Alright, peace.